Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. I was thinking perhaps this might be the first time that I've experienced that no one logs in. So is this going to be the first time where no one is logged in? They must have had enough of it. But happily, you can see I was mistaken. You're waiting on another invitation. All right.
They kept all saying, waiting. I said, I'm waiting as well.
Yeah, I was waiting as well. Okay, so let's share Brhat Bhagavatamrta. We're on text 217, chapter part 3, chapter 5, text 217. And remember last week we left off, at least for me, I found it very interesting, because this is the details of how Gopal has been advised to take up the practice of sadhana. And the verses we're reading now is very much in line with those who are taking part in our Sankalpa Kaumudi readings. So it's quite relevant to us because it's about the development of sadhana towards bhava and then perfection. So these verses are on this subject, at least the next few verses. So it's for us sadhakas, yeah, how we can advance in love and affection for the Lord. Okay. So 217, then we're starting. Any readers there? Or I guess I can begin reading a little bit for a couple of verses. And then if anyone else likes to read, then please, you're very welcome. If you'd like to put your hand up, and then we can hand it over. So 217, here we go. Once one has overcome the obstacles on a path that arise from frailties like fear, vitaraga bhaya krodha, yeah, one can then achieve pure love in which one thinks of the Lord like a close friend in the ordinary world. For this, one must have a strong desire to serve the Lord in the manner of his gopas and gopis. Okay, so specific type of sadhana, where one's inspired by the gopas or the gopis. Commentary. When a serious devotee first sets his aim on following in the footsteps of the Goloka Vashis, the goal may seem far away. He may begin his endeavor still encumbered by many material desires. But the more he carefully studies the transcendental reality, the more he renounces his unsuitable desires. He then rises above the misgivings born of fear, reverence, distrust, and shame. The real beginning of spiritual life, therefore, is to become free from material desires. Yeah, not too sure what. This is Sanatana Goswami commenting on his own treatise, what exactly he means. By fear, we can perhaps understand what might it mean to be the frailties of fear that we have to overcome in spiritual practice. I'm asking because I'm not exactly clear myself, so perhaps together we can try and understand.
Does it use us? Fear.
Fear. Okay, fear, but fear of what exactly? Might be fear of the stepping into what for us as conditioned souls might be the unknown. Just philosophical speculation. Sometimes it's described in Bhagavad Gita, it's described that we have to overcome a weak-hearted, not having enough or being not confident in our ability to control or to take on or to control our senses. We're kind of weak-hearted. That's used in the Bhagavad Gita. But also says vitaraga and bhayakrodha, that we have to become free from fear, vitaraga, attachment, and anger. Fear, vitaraga, bhayakrodha. Yeah, perhaps we can conclude a fear for spiritual life.
I was listening to Kesha Maharaj's class on fear today, and
Are we speaking about fear?
yeah, he was speaking.
Okay.
I can't. But then he was talking about fear in all different directions, like say, fear of losing your money, fear of being, you losing your prestige, things like that.
Yeah,
And
perhaps that's it.
different fears,
Fear of losing one's material attachments.
Yes, even that, or in our case, like fear, we have to attach ourselves to Rajbasis, there's a fear in a way, like, oh, how is it going to, where do I find, what do I read about, who do I get attached to, how do I get more information? It's kind of,
Yeah, I don't know if that's fear. That's just like unknown. It's kind of is not clear.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
It's a lot to, then your mind just says, okay, it will, when it happens. But we shouldn't be in that mood. We should be
going forward.
Yeah.
Going forward rather than waiting.
Yeah, then Krishna would say, okay, you want to wait? You can wait a few lifetimes.
Yeah, as one surrenders unto me, I will do accordingly. All right, let's check it as that then. Okay. I guess it might take too long if we try and analyze every word. We might not read much, but we've got reverence here as well. That might be the worship of the Lord as in Vaikuntha with awe and reverence. We have to, for those who want to follow in the footsteps of the Gopas and the Gopis and develop a relationship like a close friend for Krishna, then we have to overcome, we have to we have to overcome reverence for the Lord, but we have to have it in the beginning, that's for sure. And distrust, it's mentioned here, and shame. All right, perhaps let's read on with this. Okay, until the obstacles are overcome, the devotee sees the object of his devotion only as the supreme powerful. Okay, the answer's here. Okay, as the supreme powerful. So he remains too fearful and respectful. So that's fear and reverence, to have any real love for him. All right. But later, when a devotee swims in the vast ocean of bhakti, the superficial waves of contrary impulses recede, and he is granted the super intelligence for friendship with the Supreme. The devotee then approaches the Lord with such apparently worldly moods as that of a consort or son, and serves his lotus feet accordingly. He renders pure devotional service as defined in the Padma Purana. Ananya mamata Vishnu mamata prema sumyuta bhakti iti uchite bhishma padadhava nadadai. When one develops an unflinching sense of ownership or possessiveness in relationship to Lord Vishnu, or in other words, when one thinks Vishnu and no one else to be the only object of love, such an awakening is called bhakti by exalted persons like Vishnu, Prahlad, Uddhava, and Narada. That's also a definition that Rupa Goswami gives for prema. When one has a sense of possessiveness towards the Lord, that the Lord is mine, rather than I am the Lord's and I belong to the Lord. At the stage of prema, it's the Lord I am, or the Lord is mine. Mamata.
Mamata.
Yeah. mentioned in regard to Vishnu here. Okay. When one develops that love by practicing the devotion.
Yeah, keep jumping off. Yeah.
Oh, Krishna.
Oh, okay.
Let me
Oh,
muting.
good. Yeah, so that, yeah.
Muting.
Yeah. Thank
Mute. Okay. One develops that love by practicing the devotional service, whose main ways are meditation on and singing about the many Raj pastimes of the Lord. So singing about different songs that glorify the pastimes of the Lord. Yeah. That service becomes brilliant by Sankirtan of the Lord's most beloved holy names. Commentary. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, which consists of 9 basic devotional practices, beginning with hearing, chanting, and remembering, prepares a devotee's heart for the awakening of prema, love of God. Jnana and Ghana. I've heard of jnana before, but not Ghana. 1 second, I'm just going to do something here. Now, I don't know if anyone's interested in this little tip-off here, but you've all heard of Chat GBT by now. It's an easy downloadable AI app which you can get on your phone. But I've discovered the last week that it acts as a wonderful Sanskrit dictionary. You can put any Sanskrit word in and it gives you a translation of it. So I'm going to try it here. Okay, it's come up with the term.
Murli, could you send it to everyone because we'd like to try it out?
Yeah, okay. Remember, you can do anything on it, so like, be careful.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but it acts as a I've just put it in now, and it's come up with Ghana. Has several meanings and uses in Sanskrit and Indian culture. Ghana means a group, troop, or assembly. It refers to a collection of people, deities, or objects. Okay, so dhyana, meditation, in Ghana. Okay, the general methods of remembering and chanting about the Supreme Lord and his pastimes transform into the advanced stages of sadhana, into Prashtanam Sankirtan, ecstatic absorption in the nectarian names of one's worshipable Lord. This Sankirtan is the most essential means for achieving prema. By Nam Sankirtan, one easily realizes the full glories of Krishna and his pleasure potency. Okay? Any questions or comments about this?
I wanted to ask about the fear one, a question of one before. Fear.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like I was saying, Maharaj was saying about fear about anything, education, whatever. So we have fear because, right, we know that Krishna is going to protect you. Krishna is the ultimate goal. But also we have karma. So we have to go through the karma as well. So how does that work? Fear with karma. Or does Krishna take the karma away? I don't know.
Well, whatever it may be, whether it's karma or whatever it may or may not be exactly. But what does Krishna say? He encourages to not be fearful. In Ma Suchaha, 1866, in it, Savatamam Varyachacha Mam Ekam Savaram Vajaham Tom Savapebyo Mokshashashi Ma Suchaha. So actually, we do have no reason to hesitate or to fear. But our conditioned state is that we're conditioned to it, so to speak. Yeah. So sometimes it's hard for us to it may be hard for us to sometimes make a step that we need to make in our devotional development. Sometimes it's a bit like, because you are stepping into an unknown world, so there might be some attachment and some hesitation. There's a certain level of surrender that's being asked of us. Generally, that's going to be that should be there for every devotee. There's a certain level of surrender which is being offered to one, but one may be hesitating to step forward. And that may be different for everyone. But just like, I don't know if you ever experienced at a swimming pool, if you go onto the diving board, there may be a fear. I mean, I have fear of the diving board. I never climbed up the diving board, the big one. I was just by looking at it, I'll become full of fear. So, how to overcome that fear is to associate with Vaishnavas who have stepped over what we are contemplating to step over. Yeah. Also, it might mean that we make at least one step forward, and then we can feel safe once we make that one step forward. Then we just should keep taking steps forward. Like just as you mentioned, Bhagavatamrta, just in the systematic development of our Krishna consciousness, then there is different stages. And as we've been reading and elsewhere, one of those stages is to meditate upon Krishna's associates. So for one reason or another, there might be a fear, or one might be a bit apprehensive. Yeah.
Yeah, like fear me in that way is like you don't want to waste time, but you don't know where to go, how to go, and you don't want to like keep next birth. You could be here for so many births, if you don't.
Yeah, actually, that's I was reading ahead of a few verses, and Sanatana Goswami speaks about that in the context of a devotee feels he has such a long way to go. And he will speak about that in a couple of verses coming up. But one thing I want to point out here is mentioned about Prema Nam Sankirtan and Dhyana. And the Sankirtan is the most essential means for achieving prema. So that Sankirtan should be accompanied by Smaran. We should try it sometimes. Next time we're in a kirtan. Okay, so because sometimes we forget, we just get absorbed in the externals. The tune, the larking around sometimes.
Yeah.
The banging, and we actually forget to think of Krishna and his pastimes. We should try it. We should try to meditate upon Krishna, something we've read in Krishna book, his qualities, because that's what Sankirtan is supposed to invoke. It's supposed to invoke remembrance of Krishna. Of course, his holy name is ecstatic, but his holy name is not different from his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. So that's what is mentioned here when it mentioned previously about singing songs of the Lord, singing songs of the Lord's pastimes. Yeah. There is names for Krishna which indicates pastimes. Like there's a wonderful bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that we one of the few bhajans that we sing in the temple, and I forgot what it is. What is it? It's the holy name. It's what is that bhajan? Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We sing it occasionally. Doi Mora Prabhu Jen tends to sing it. Name that bhajan. Anyone out there can name that bhajan, Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
We sing a lot of time Yashomati Nandan.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yashomati Nandan Bhaja Bara Nagara Kukura Ranjana Kana. Yeah, that's a beautiful bhajan. It's all about Krishna's Leela, Krishna, Yes, wonderful. Also, we have that Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. So that's full of udipan for meditation on the Lord's qualities and pastimes. Just the same as when if we're blessed to be in Mangalati, we're singing samsara da, we're supposed to be meditating on what it actually means. So the same as when we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're supposed to be meditating. It's some dhyana. It's supposed to be some meditation. Yeah. If we're just saying, okay, we can wait for something extra special to happen without their effort, but we might be waiting a long time. We have to go forward, and we have to make the effort to meditate upon Krishna. And that's why it's important to read about Krishna, so we can remember Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anyone else out there has some comments or questions? Please feel free to unmute. Okay, so let's hear about the quickest way to achieve prema. That's the next verse. In the company of people whose only taste is for devotional service in pure love, all right, that love appears of its own accord. Yet one must try to keep it concealed. Yeah. What's the word for concealed? Not too sure. Okay. The quickest way to achieve prema is to stay in the company of those who know its value. The association of first-class pure Vaishnavas has the power to invoke prema in an aspirant's heart. So, okay, so that will be first-class Vaishnava will be someone with love for the Lord. Yeah. But when love for Krishna begins to mature, a devotee must be careful not to make a public show of his ecstasy. So we've heard that a good few times, isn't it? I'm very familiar with this. Shivaram Swami Maharaj often mentions this. Hopefully we can have that problem one day. We have. Yeah. There is a saying, Gopayat Mitri Jadavat. One should keep prema hidden, as one would conceal that one's mother has a paramour. Interesting example. A devotee, excuse me, a devotee actually experiencing prema would never divulge his inner ecstasies just to establish a reputation for himself amongst Vaishnavas. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first sign that one doesn't have prema. If one is advertising him or herself, or trying to make an exhibition of one's ecstasies. Generally, such mature Vaishnavas will do everything they can to keep such ecstasies concealed. But devotees, let's see if it's mentioned here, but it will shine through their eyes and shine through their nectarian words, Still, as indicated here by the word swatha of its own accord, the situation of an ecstatic devotee is like that of an ordinary person separated from a loved one long enough for time to have covered the pain, yet not so long that meeting friends of his beloved won't suddenly plunge him into agony. The word prayashat is in the future tense, which implies that the injunction to keep prema hidden applies only before prema has appeared. All right. So once it's appeared, you cannot keep it hidden. Yeah. Let's see. Once fully developed, prema cannot be checked from showing itself whenever it wants. All right. Sometimes Prabhupada would exhibit ecstatic symptoms, isn't it?
So then these devotees, because say, you know, when Maharajas are giving classes and they speaking, you can, sometimes you can see, because they're concentrating on certain topics or how their devotion comes into their classes, you know,
Yeah,
when they
yeah,
talk.
I understand. There's sometimes when devotees are speaking, then they may temporarily become touched by some deep emotions,
Yeah.
and it comes out. I remember one time, I think I mentioned this before, Bhakti Vikash Maharaj was giving class. This was many years ago, and I was sitting up the front, and the curtains opened, and he looked over, as one does, he's giving class, and he looked over, and he went silent for a few seconds, you know, and it looked like he wasn't in the class anymore. He was somewhere else, you know.
Mm.
I could see he actually choked up. I don't know if anyone else saw it, but he quickly swallowed it and got himself together, and went on with the class. But also, we should also understand. You said Maharajas, so it's just not
No,
Maharajas
I
who
didn't
are
mean Maharaj. It can be any devotees,
yeah, devotees.
any class, you know, you can see the mood from them.
Yeah, we might see, and sometimes we don't see.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're distracted. We're otherwise distracted. Yeah. Okay. When one resides always in seclusion in the land of the Lord's favorite pastimes forests, surely such love will soon develop and mature. All right, okay, so that might not be an option for us from one perspective. Commentary. Sadhana bhakti performed in Krishna's holy dham is especially conducive for the awakening of prema. Okay, so remember that next time you're in a holy dham. Of course, the house can be a holy dham. Yes, we know that. But especially when you go to the holy dham, it's very conducive for awakening affection, pretty love for Krishna. Text 221. That loving devotional service is far different from disciplines such as karma, jnana, and yoga. At every stage, it is decorated by indifference to them. And its root is dainya, utter humility. So that means it's the root of prema comes from utter humility. Also, prema feeds humility as well. I think that's mentioned here as well. The question here is whether prescribed duties and other methods of purification should be continued along with devotional service. Should one keep on with karma, the following of varnashram regulations, or jnana, cultivation of discrimination between spirit and matter? Okay. So that means when someone is experiencing bhakti, someone's experiencing love, do they still read chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita? Do they still read things like Uddhava Gita, the prayers, but by the personified Vedas?
Yes.
Let's just finish this purple, and we can. What about the eightfold practice of yoga and meditation in samadhi? What about renunciation, chanting mantras? That would be mantras other than the Maha Mantra, and other disciplines. Here now it answers, but although these disciplines, starting with karma, may all assist in the sadhana of love of God, they assist, okay? Only in the very early stages of devotional service are they of much use. Once sadhana bhakti has yielded its fruit, raganuga bhakti, spontaneous devotion, and especially once prema has appeared, the fruit of raganuga bhakti, there is no longer any place in a devotee's life for such practices. right? So that's been mentioned in our readings as well. One's sadhana will change according to one's development. So one may desist from one aspect of one's sadhana, and one may give more time for another type of sadhana. Yeah. But for instance, in chanting the Gayatri mantra, Jiva Goswami mentions that devotee continues to chant his sandhya, his Gayatris, if I remember rightly. But the Gayatris at the stage of bhava and prema, they are like they are manifestation of, how can I explain it? They are, it's different because the Gayatri mantras, they indicate, it's about Lord Chaitanya, it's about one spiritual master, it's about Radha Krishna. So they become a bhajan. They become an extra stimulus for one's love for Krishna. For instance, there's by Raghunath Das Goswami, he's got these 12 vows that he's made. Swa Niyama Astaka. And the first one says, I will love my spiritual master. I will love the chanting of the Gayatri. Anyway, so it gets a bit technical, but his Gayatri is a manifestation of prema. So he's okay. The fact is that prema is not achievable by other methods such as karma and gyan. Devotees should therefore disregard those methods and simply busy themselves with the devotional service of hearing, chanting, and remembering, and so on. This point has already been discussed in detail at the end of the second chapter of this part of Brhat Bhagavatamrta in the context of the glories of bhakti. Great authorities have said devotional service to Mukunda can be seen personified as it runs away from those who perform fruitive rituals and laughs at those who chant silent mantras in their minds, and avoids those who practice meditational yoga. Bhakti yoga in all phases of practice and achievement in this life and the next is always decorated with the ornament of indifference to material desires. This holds true whether bhakti is performed internally with the subtle body, or externally with one's physical body and senses, and the body's external possessions. When one allows secondary means and goals to become prominent, one deviates from bhakti. The most essential support and a candidate for pure bhakti must always take help from it. And the most essential support and candidate for pure bhakti must always take help is from utter humility. Okay. And it's mentioned in the next verse. The next two verses speak about humility as well. Okay, any questions or comments here?
How do we cultivate humility?
Yeah, well, for instance, by reading Brhat Bhagavatamrta and understanding that it's said here that it's the root of prema. So we have to meditate on it. We have to spend time with it, and we have to pray, and we have to always be introspective and making it that we're developing humility within, in our own world within. Because sometimes it's quite easy to manifest external humility. Please, Panchakalpas, but are we cultivating it within at all times and in all places? Yeah. So it's something that we have to, just like when you have to cook something, you have to cook something up, isn't it? Mother Ujaswari always says that. She opens the fridge door and says, okay, let's see what we can cook up. She pulls anything out the fridge and makes a subji from it, even if she has no idea what it is. So we have to cook it up. We have to observe it as well in senior devotees who do possess humility, in those devotees who have prema, those advanced devotees who have prema. Then we should observe them very closely, and we should want to follow them and be inspired by them. So that's a couple of thoughts on that. Mother Jambavati, did you have your hand for reading or comment here?
I just wanted to add something. I'm sorry to disturb. Just regarding humility, you know what is it? The best example, because when we develop love, then humility comes, because love and humility not far away, they two like twins, you know. And you know, we can compare when the baby is born, you know, every mother is humble. We develop humility because the baby cries, it makes drama, and we're calm, we're hugging and kissing and loving, you know. Even the baby pisses on our face on any way, you know, we don't get angry, you know. It's sweet, it's nectar, you know, it's love. And you see how mother patiently takes care of a baby. This is humility. And if we take everything with that attitude, because everything is like this, so love and humility comes together. We have to love even our enemy, you know.
Yeah, that's a nice example you gave, actually, Mother Jambavati, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he likens the awakening of love to a young baby girl, in a sense that it should be protected at all times, you know, and he just like a young baby girl, completely helpless, so we should protect it. But it's a good point you're making. Yes, it does. It is a natural manifestation of prema, but also, as we're hearing here, if we don't have prema, then developing dainya will help us to achieve prema. So for the sadhakas, it's a sadhana. It's something which it's a quality that we want to obtain. And so we meditate upon it and we try to develop it. And of course, then when prema does arise, it will be a spontaneous aspect of our personality that we will naturally be in a self-realized state of utter humility. But still, devotee in his humility is always careful, still. So what you're saying is correct, Mother. Is correct. It's a manifestation of prema. But if we don't have prema, we have to understand the importance of humility. And we have to meditate upon it. We have to kind of watch our internal thoughts in an internal world, you know, thinking ourselves lower than other Vaishnavas.
Yes, but you know, I wanted to add, because this is like a bit misconception, because when we're women, we're in female body, we have to embrace our being, you know. And the biggest mistake is when woman trying to be devotee man, you know, follow man's standards, it becomes something in the middle. We have to be proud to be woman, because for example, when I go in the street, I put a shawl on my head. I'm using stick. I use stick because I love it, not because I'm limping on them. I love going with stick to defend myself, and whatever. But what I see, people see me as a mother. They don't see me as a devotee. They see me, they straight away offer me seat. They help me to get on the bus. They take care of me. They love me. And you know, I feel embarrassed because I'm not that old, but they see mother. They don't see a devotee. They see a mother. So in that case, first thing, we have to be mothers and to enjoy that. Because if Krishna wanted us to be something in the middle or male figure, we would have been male figure. We have to embrace what we are.
Yeah, Vaishnavi is a glorious It is. It's a glorious. It's glorious. But I was thinking when you were saying, hope you don't mind me saying, but I was thinking, so if anyone wants to get a seat on a bus, you take a stick with you, and you get a seat on a bus. But very good point. We have to be real with ourselves and not to artificially try to be someone we're not. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Very good point, Baba Jambavati. And we shouldn't hide from what is our karma, from what is our given situation. Yeah.
I was listening in a class about humility also, that we have to see how great Krishna is and how insignificant we are. So in that sentence, I can see how we can see, like we're working with devotees, how great devotees are. Everyone's got different qualities they are good at.
Yeah.
And then you meditate on that, and you will develop all these good qualities by just seeing these devotees' good qualities. You know, I often say to devotees when I'm talking, she said this, but she's really good at heart. So you see what's in the heart. You know, they come out and they sometimes get angry and all that, but generally devotees are really good at heart, caring, helping each other.
Just like
Saying to yourself, yes.
Yeah, just like Maharaj was mentioning this morning, but he didn't term the word. He was mentioning about how Krishna, he's mentioned about Putana, because she externally, because she showed, or because she acted like a mother, Krishna accepted that, although her intentions were otherwise. So Bhava Grahi Janardana, just like Krishna sees the best in a devotee, so we should do the same. Krishna sees what is good. So we should endeavor to do the same. And again, and that will help us, Baba Chandravali's mentioned, that will help us to also, if we're surrounded, if we're always seeing great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, then naturally we're going to feel humbled to be in their association. Yeah, and humility is something which is not just within the context. Well, it's in all the world religions. Humility is something which is always seen as a symptom of God consciousness. You know, within the histories of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, all the great religious, great, I guess we could call them. Yeah, so in our tradition especially, plays a very important role.
I was just thinking how, you know, like, okay, just word humility, how you do see humbleness in devotees and you want to develop that. And there are times when you don't and you say something else. And I was thinking how, well, for me, how am I in mixed things at the moment? You know, I'm seeing things and yet at times I say something different. So I have to work to go past that little bit, you know. And you know, in our classes, we always saying we're in mixed modes or mix, you know, like say we are in the middle, whatever. So I can see how you kind of in a mixed situation, and you just got to work to go a bit higher, you know.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Also, we will learn as well. We will be in situations where we see pride. We may see it in ourselves, but also we have to be real. Devotees are aspiring for, and at all different levels. So sometimes you may observe pride in someone. You know, so that may be an indirect lesson as well. Just on the.
But does that mean that we got pride? That's why we saw that in somebody?
No, not necessarily. For instance, if the spiritual master identifies a disciple who's proud, It doesn't mean
Yeah.
proud.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that famous story where Prabhupada was speaking to Tamal Krishna Maharaj?
And
Tamal Krishna Maharaj, a really dear servant of Prabhupada, but very much into controlling everyone and everything. And we know Prabhupada says there's millions of universes, and in the millions of universes, there's hundreds of planets, and in one planet, there is planetary systems. There's this earthly planetary system, and in that earthly planetary system, there's one planet which we are on. And in that planet, there's many countries. In those countries, there's many counties, there's many towns, and in those towns, there's America. And in America, there's hundreds of towns and villages, and in one of those towns, there's a place called Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, there's thousands of houses, etc. And in one of those places, there's one little person called Tamal Krishna who actually thinks he's in control or something like that. So it may not be. It may be. It may not be. It may be an observant of a shiksha or diksha guru observing his dependent who is exhibiting pride. So then how to dissect that, how to address that. So that's going to be the expertise. Has to be, sometimes it can be, it very much depends on your relationship. I remember I was just reciting this the other day. I was just remembering in my very early days when I was distributing books, then I happened to be on the party which was doing the biggest book distribution in the United Kingdom. And obviously we was doing the biggest in the temple. And our book distribution party, called the Garanga Party, was being was being praised by all the senior devotees. You know, and I was on that party. There was only 3 or 4 of us on the party. So I was becoming quite proud. Unbeknown to me, you know, sometimes pride is like a radiation. You may not see it, you may not smell it, you may not taste it, but you may be becoming proud. So I was slowly but surely becoming quite proud, and our Sankirtan leader could see it. And so he was speaking to me, and he wasn't speaking to me directly, he was teaching me indirectly. We were speaking about different subjects, and then he spoke about a tree when it grows and produces fruits, then it bows down in humility. Now, he wasn't telling me, you're proud, you listen to this, because he knew I might have been too prideful to even hear that I'm proud. Sometimes. So he gave this example. Like when he gave this example, Krishna within the hearts told me, after the conversation, he's speaking to you. You better listen to this. So he did it very expertly. He did it directly. At least he chose to approach it that way. You know, because he knew as a party we was becoming proud. You know. Anyway, Krishna made us. You know, Krishna took care of it at the end. The whole party fell to pieces. That's another story. But anyway, Hare Krishna.
In that, like your Sankirtan leader told you in a different way. What if you see something like that is happening to a devotee, like the controlling mood is there, putting themselves in everything, and you know this isn't good, something's going to happen, and then something happens and that person's like gone in a way. How I mean, you want to help, but you're not able to say anything.
Yeah, so then you're going to want to have some avenue of communication. There should be a well-situated senior person within the community or within the yatra or whatever, especially if that person is in a position of management or responsibility. It could have its consequences. So you want to find someone that you can, an ombuds person, a neutral person or someone that you can express your concerns to if you really think it could create problems within the community. And also you have to speak to, because it might just be our own envy as well. That's where we have to be careful. So are we just envious of someone, or are we sincerely seeing qualities that may cause, which are not being addressed? So then it's good to have someone you can run it by in confidentiality, in a confidence, in strict confidence. So therefore you have to speak to a substantial devotee. Yeah. So who's, yeah. Okay, so some thoughts on that. It's 5 past. We started a bit. Yeah. Now let me just. We started a few minutes. I guess we was all here at 6 o'clock. So in one sense, we'll gathered at 6. We started a bit late. Should we just pick this up next week? Continuing dainya. There's more verses on the subject.
Yeah, be good.
Yeah. I just read the translation to the next verse, 2222. Wise men define dainya as a state in which one always thinks oneself exceptionally incapable and low, even when endowed with all excellencies. Okay, something to meditate upon. Okay, thank you everyone, and excuse me, I think it's probably my mistake. I put up the wrong I opened up the wrong link. But anyway, Hare Krishna. Let's pick it up from next week. So thank you everyone for joining us. And this week is Snan Yatra, no?
Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday. We have a festive weekend coming up. Rath Yatras going on everywhere, all over the place. And we have Snan Yatra on Sunday, so that would be ecstatic. And then Jagannath's not coming back.
Oh, that's sad. So what are we going to cook for him? We normally make things that when he's sick,
Yeah, so you have to develop this sense of separation, Vipralambha bhav. You should be crying. You should be great anxiety that Jagannath's not there.
I
And that
already
causes you to meditate upon it very deeply. Huh?
I already saw Vimala in tears. Her face just went bright red.
She's going to go to be with Jagannath.
Yeah, but it's like,
Yeah, it's good. This Jagannath's being away is going to develop our attachment to him. That's what we spoke. What is it? Someone spoke to me officially. Sorry, I better stop the recording here because stop recording. Yeah.